In this video, I want to expand on our trigger system that we made for the safe zone and set it up so that we have a zone that can use kind of like a activation pad. So we're going to use this for pretty much, I guess would say toggling a door, so to speak. So when you enter it, I want the door to be open. When you exit it, I want it to close. Or in our case, we're going to show and hide it because we don't have a door or actual animations. So we're going to go ahead and create another trigger box. And let's search for box and trigger box. Let's name it trigger box door. Good enough. Create the class. Okay. Once that's all done, go ahead and open the header in the .cpp, and we are just going to copy the overlap functions that we have from the previous video of this. So just go ahead and copy and paste. We're going to create the constructor. And create the implementations of both the overlap functions. Okay, once that's done, we do the last thing and copy the binding of the overlap functions, or overlap events, better yet, like so, and we are pretty much done. Okay, we're not sure what you're complaining about because you should be fine. So we can then close our old overlap. So all we're doing is generating the overlap components. You can see the parameters right here and how we add them. Again, I already went over this. So I'm going to go ahead and build, make sure everything's okay there because I have a feeling there's going to be something dumb. Okay, so U-shape component. You are derived from trigger box, which should contain, the U-shape component. What are you whining about? Oh, I guess we got to include the shape component. That makes more sense. There we go. All right, so we're going to go ahead and include components, shape component.h, and we are safe to go. Go ahead and do a compile just to be sure. And good. Okay, so what we're going to do is we want to have it so when we enter this, or any player enters this, we want to have it open a door. Now, we want to have some way to tell what doors that we want to have accessible or used through this component. So what I'm going to do is create a U property. I'm going to make it edit anywhere. And I'm going to do a T array of actor pointers. And I'm going to call this one linked doors. Now I'm going to go ahead and compile and show you the reason we're doing this. So because I'm doing that, I got to restart the editor as well. Alrighty, and here's the trigger box. Link doors, click the plus, and currently we have a bunch of this stuff. So we have the walls and all that. We have even our characters and stuff. Now let's say we have something specific. So I'm going to drag out a cube. Whoa. Let me scale it to where it makes a little more, looks a little more like a door. So something, I guess, kind of like that. So then I'm going to place our component right here. Go ahead and just drag it where it sits kind of in the middle of the door, scale it, and call it a day. So let's go ahead and name this one door example. So when we click on our overlap, we can then click on our array here under linked doors that we just created, and we see door example. So that allows this trigger box to be linked to this actor right here. So I'm going to go ahead and file and save. And what I want to do when the component is overlapped, I'm going to loop through our linked doors and toggle them. So we're going to do a for each loop. So for a actor, let's just do actor, or we'll call it door, in linked doors. if door, just to confirm that it's good to go. And let's do this on the server. So if has authority, we want to do door. Let's see, is that hidden? And we're going to pass in true. So when this runs, hopefully it should hide the door. Let's give this a try. I want to play as a listen server just to confirm that there's no weird issues, because I don't know if set hidden is replicated or not. I run into it and nothing's happening. Now let's go ahead and confirm that we are actually running this. So UV log, running overlap. So this will allow us to just make sure that it's firing. Running overlap, so that means it is. So we're having an issue elsewhere. So what I'm going to do for the time being is I'm just going to try to destroy that actor, and that's going to dictate whether or not I'm actually able to do that with these type of drag and drops. Okay, so that is working. And obviously, the issue just occurred to me that it is not replicated. So we're going to have an issue when it comes down to multiplayer, because these drag and drops world objects have no replication to them. And I don't know if I can actually set it to replicate anywhere inside of here. Can I? No, I cannot. However, we can move it. So what we're going to do, instead of destroying it, we're going to set actor location, and we're going to simply bump it up. So f vector current location equals door, get actor location. We're going to do current location dot z plus equals, let's do 700, and then we're going to pass in the new current location. So now, whenever we overlap, the door should rise, and hopefully it actually replicates. So let's see. Run into it, and we have an issue. So we have to set it to be mobile. So let's click on the door, come over here to mobility, set it to movable, and try again. Walk into it. It goes up for the server, but not the client. So my guess is it's just not going to actually want to replicate. And I don't think there was anything. Again, let's try to replicate it and see. Okay, that fixes the issue. So now the door up here on the client is shown up there as well. So we are good to go. Let's do the exact same thing for the unoverlap, except we are going to subtract 700 centimeters from it. Now I want to do a test here and kind of check if there's any actors in it, because I want to show you an issue that is going to occur. We have two clients. Client 1 walks into it, the door goes, way up there. Client 2 walks into it, then walks out of it, walks into it, walks out of it. It's going to keep rising and lowering. What we want to do is do a check. And that check is so that way it doesn't keep going up each time a player walks into it. So what we're going to do is, if here we can do some checks. So get collision component. Let's do get overlapping actors. So go to the parameters, returns a list of actors. So we're going to go ahead and just call this directly. So T array of a actor, overlapping actors equals get overlapping actors. And the parameters are being completely blind, am I? Oh, no, it outputs it. So overlapping actors. It's going to fill overlapping actors. Then we can do a check. So if overlapping actors dot num is greater than 0, actually, yeah, it's greater than 0, then what we want to do is return. So this will make it so if there's already a client inside of the trigger, we will not run this code here where we bump up the door height a second time. Well, hopefully. So we run it, and here we have, there we go. We actually did the opposite, so this needs to be 1. I can't remember. This returns, no. Yeah, I got myself confused. It would be greater than 1. Wait, no. Because that would be being stupid here. I think I am. Anyways, we run into it. We have 2 clients. And as you can see, the door did not lower or raise. Let me rephrase that. It did not raise again. However, I just lowered the door so it's underneath of the world. So let's go ahead and look at that one more time. I walk into the door. It raises it up. I walk into it again with this client and it stays where it's at. But when I leave, the door goes back into place while this character is still inside of it, well, inside the zone, trying to walk into it. Now, when I leave with this guy, it's going to go under the world. So we want to do the same exact thing down in our Onend overlap. So if that's the case, if there's one client in it, we don't want to do anything. So that way it's only going to be controlled by technically a single client. However, they can alternate as they see fit. So I walk into it, it raises. I walk out of it, it goes back. Walk into it, it raises. Walk into it on another client, it stays up. I get out of it, and it left. So we want to do a different check because I obviously just did not think of that. So let's see. When we have 2 clients in it, one client leaves. So if this is true, which it should be, I'm actually going to print out the value. And D overlapping actors dot num, just so I can see what this value is going to be. I feel like I'm being a little bit dumb on this because I don't know if it's going to, how it's actually going to tally it up when we try to leave. So I exit, so we have 1. So if it's greater than 1, we return, in which case this is false. So we want to have this greater than 0. So hopefully now it should work as intended. It raises, stays the same. I exit, still stays there, but when this guy leaves, it snaps back down. So we have 1 client entering, opens the door, second client enters, it does not open the door, it stays where it's at. First client then leaves, the door stays open because there's a client still in it, and then the last client leaves, and the door closes. So that's our little door pad. So I'm going to go ahead and walk through it real quick. So when a client enters the trigger, obviously we have to make sure we're on the server because we don't want to do any of this on the client. We get the amount, we get the actors that are currently overlapping inside of this trigger. And the only reason we do that is so we can count them. So we count overlapping actors. So if overlapping actors is greater than 1, we want to return, because if it's less than 1, we don't want to do anything. We don't want to, if it's greater than 1, we don't want to raise the doors that are linked to it. We don't want to do that. We only want to raise the door when there's only 1 client inside the zone. So when the first client enters, we want to raise it. When the second client enters, we don't want to do anything. Same thing for the third, fourth, yada, yada, yada. And then when, let's say we have 2 clients in it, we're going to do this check, has authority. We're going to go ahead and remove that log. Get the amount of actors that are inside of the trigger. If it's greater than 0, which means there's still 1 person in it, we want to return, because if there's somebody sitting inside of the zone or the trigger, we do not want the door to close. We only want the door to close if it is equal to 0, meaning there's nobody inside of the trigger. So in that case, we would go through and we would close the door. And that's really how simple this is. So there's really obviously not much to it. And that's pretty much it. That's kind of our first little pressure pad that we've made. I figured that would be probably the next simplest thing. And in the previous video, I mentioned setting up a kind of a trigger pad that goes by weight to open and control doors. I feel like that'll be next. But I want to also show the linking. So we can link this up to several doors if we really wanted to. So I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this door and duplicate it one more time. Click on the trigger. Let's go ahead and add 2 more elements. Add door example 2 and door example 3. So that way, whenever we walk into the zone, all of the doors go up. So you can link it up like so. So anyways, that's going to be all for this video. If you like what I'm doing and you want to help support me, you can find a link to my Patreon down in the description below, where we have a team deathmatch series just for my patrons, as well as early access to videos. If you have any questions or anything like that, feel free to join my Discord. That's also linked down below, and I'll try to help you out the best I can. So I'll see you in the next one.